welcome to Old Testament Eschatology. My name is David Justice. I'll be the instructor for the course throughout this semester. I want to welcome you to the course and walk through as an introduction kind of what we'll be going over throughout the semester. First, I want to talk about kind of our steps on what we're going to be discussing. Let's look at the, if you've got your syllabus with you, we'll just talk a few key items on that. First, let's look at the learning objectives. Some of the things that you're going to be learning throughout the semester. First is you're going to be able, at the end of this course, you'll be able to discuss some of the key biblical texts that develop the eschatological hopes of Israel. And we want you to be able to look through as we go week to week to look at those texts and be able to develop some exegetical insights on what is the expectations for Israel for the future. You're also going to be able to discuss some of the contemporary approaches to interpreting the biblical text, specifically the millennial views. We'll spend a few weeks on those. And you're going to identify some of the significant eschatological themes throughout the Old Testament. And then you'll also, as part of your work that you're going to be producing, you're going to produce an exegetical paper and a teaching outline based on some of those materials. One of the things that I wanted to also discuss is kind of the layout of the course and kind of how this is designed. The course is kind of divides very easily into thirds. Our first third of the course, what we'll do is the first week we'll have an introduction that covers some of the key questions. What is eschatology? Give you an idea of some of the key themes and central concepts for the eschatology. And then the rest of that first third of the course will cover units 1 through 4. And there we'll have an introduction to what is eschatology and what are the millennial views. Well, we're going to focus specifically on 3. The book that we'll be focusing on within that is the Bach book, 3 Views on the Millennium and Beyond. You'll be reading each week, you'll be reading one chapter from that. We'll start with Bach's summary essay. That'll give you kind of the key principles that our key issues and principles that you'll be looking at to help defining the different eschatological views. Then we'll walk through each week, we'll walk through one specific eschatological view, looking at first, postmillennialism, then amillennialism, then premillennialism. That's the first third of the course, and that'll take us from January up until the end of February, around February 24th, at which point during that time you'll have a couple of assignments. One is you'll read the Middleton book, A New Heaven and New Earth, and produce a book review, and that'll be due on February the 18th. And then at the end of that third of the course, on March 4th, you'll produce a complete paper on the different millennial views, assessing strengths and weaknesses, and your evaluation of the different views. The second third of the course, really from the second, third, and the final third of the course we're walking through the biblical text, beginning with Genesis and moving forward. The second third of the course, units 5 through 9, will look at messianic expectation and eschatological concepts in the Pentateuch, the former prophets, and the poetic books. That'll give you kind of a foundation. And then the final third, we'll walk through and look at just the latter prophets. And then our assignments during those are going to be focused on discussion posts, and then you'll also do an exegetical paper. The exegetical paper will be due on April the 15th, and so you'll work toward that in that first set of 5 weeks. And then our last set of 5 weeks, we'll discuss kind of what your findings were as we go through and discuss the latter prophets. And that gives us kind of an outline for the course and the steps we take as we look toward, what was Israel's understanding of the last things, and you really trying to understand God's final purposes from creation until the final revelation. The importance of this is that, one, it helps us understand the entire biblical story, and 2, it helps us unify the Old Testament with the New Testament and understand their relationship with each other. Particularly, how was the New Testament understanding the expectations of what God was going to accomplish through Israel in the Old Testament. And it also helps us understand our role both in the church and as individuals in God's redemptive history. So look forward to it, excited about it, and we will look forward to the few weeks ahead.